always give the customer more than they expect. It's something that I've pretty much always done throughout my working life.
So joining me on the line today, I have Siobhan Mulvahil from Zest, and I'll get her to explain what she does. Hi, Siobhan, how are you going?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well today. And so I started with Zest about 2 years ago, and my aim was to help mainly consultancies at that time in niche B2B areas. But since COVID, things have expanded, and I've actually gone into more small businesses. And my niche is actually now very broad, and it's just about helping businesses get through their social media channels and make sure that they're conveying their brand voice and brand message in the right way.
I mean, like, social media has really sort of come on tap in the past 3 months, hasn't it? It's almost like a forced maturity.
Yeah, and I think also the changes that have come in, there's a lot of learning to do, and especially say on Facebook, they've had a lot of new developments come in, and I think people are sort of like, what's next, what's going to happen? For example, what they've done with the messenger rooms and so forth is how can that be adapted into my business model as well for if you're running groups and so forth. And then even just today, LinkedIn have launched stories. So, there's always things just generally happening and improving across most channels.
So how's the changes in the economy affected you?
It's actually, well, most of the businesses I have had coming to me just know that they need to pivot in order to evolve through what's happening. And to be honest, I haven't actually had a significant hit. It's been an interesting time. It's made me be more aware of what businesses are out there that are hurting, I suppose. And that's been really important to me to make sure that what I'm helping them is not only successful, but it's economical for them as well. So making sure that if we do put something into place, that it's going to give them the return on investment that, is sustainable, I suppose.
Yeah, so great. So tell me, like, what opportunities you see for people in business in sort of as a result of what's been going on?
I personally think that it's understanding your business better and taking a step back and looking at where you could take your business and where it is that you want it to go as well. Because I think a lot of people were doing things very, very quickly. And then it's like, well, is this going to be something that's sustainable in your business? Or do you need to look at other avenues of revenue streams that perhaps could help you build your business further? And I have one particular client who was in the events industry and had to shut pretty much everything that they were doing down. Well, they had all these props and so forth. And I said, well, there's people out there on different social media channels, like even TikTok, who want props for their different things. So, you've got a whole avenue there where you could loan out these props that they could use. And it's just sort of thinking on the fly like that as well with businesses is definitely something that's really important at this time.
Yeah. And I suppose I'm more interested in what's happening in the social media space, because you mentioned there's a lot of new things coming out and there's a bit of competition going, and I can see it, because when Zoom sort of took over because everyone's Zooming each other, then Facebook said, no, we're coming out with something. We'll have that out in no time at all. And I think even Google just dumped something on the market pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
So they're all jumping in there.
Well, it was interesting what Facebook did try and do with Messenger in bringing out the rooms. And it was great that Australia was one of the countries that were first to get it. So everyone was jumping on and having a look, saying what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I personally didn't think, there was a lot of people saying it's going to be a Zoom killer and all these sorts of things. I don't think it's quite there at this stage. It's still a social tool, so it's not something, but the way that they're going to evolve that, which is what the big push is going to be for, especially for businesses who have their own groups, will be to be able to set up small messenger groups or messenger video groups within that group. So say you could have a particular topic and you could open a group up and have that whole group talking with regards to that one particular topic. So you could have several of these messenger rooms set up within your group talking about individual topics. So that's something that's they're definitely looking at evolving with the messenger rooms. But when that's coming on, I think they're trying to find their feet as to what's going to happen next with it.
Yeah. Because it's sort of, I suppose what I see is social distancing has caused us to become more social online.
Yeah.
And as we do, these tools have been around for a while. And, you know, some people hate social media and some people love it. And, you know, some people say it's a waste of time. But it is social. That's what it's meant to be. So when people get on there just to sort of talk about what's going on in their mind, you know, what they're thinking about, where they're at, it creates a great sort of channel, doesn't it?
Well, I do think so. And I do think that that's what you do in businesses. It's just about actually conveying that knowledge and making sure you're getting out to that's getting out to your social stream. It's really important because that's where people are coming onto your channel or whichever medium you're on, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram. They're there to actually listen to what you're saying. And so it's really important that the messages that you are conveying really gets that IP out of your head and making sure that they understand that, well, you know, this person really knows what they want on about. So I want to come back and listen to them each time that they have something to say.
Yeah.
And I think there are people and I get it. I have a lot of clients who say, I hate social media. I hate having to be on there all the time. I hate having to do this. And I actually think if you come up with a strategy, if you have great marketing foundations, you can actually plan out a whole month of your marketing on social media. You could plan out a whole month, schedule a whole month, and then just be popping in and out, giving comments, doing a story, that sort of thing. And it kind of takes that effort, I suppose, out of having to manage it on a day-to-day basis.
So tell me, what opportunities do you see for the small business owners in all of this?
I definitely think for small business, people are getting behind them. I think there's such a great campaign on all social media channels about supporting small businesses and being there for them. And I think it's also made people step back and realise that just even simply buying a coffee from your cafe, what consequence that has now. It's not just I'm just buying a coffee. You know, that sort of thing I think is definitely helped with the current situation. But I also think for small businesses themselves is how are they talking to their customers and what are they saying about their businesses is a lot more thought about because they need to get through social media in order for them to actually see them, because they're not coming into if it's a shop front, they're not coming into that shop anymore, or they're not seeing that person on a regular basis. So I think it's still important that they need to make sure that message is getting sent out.
So having a presence and having a relationship.
Definitely. And building a community around the people that enjoy what you have as a business.
Fantastic. Let me ask you, what are the personal lessons that you're taking out of this sort of debacle that we're going through right now?
For me, I suppose I originally did IT project management marketing, so I learned a lot about how to project manage. And I thought I knew it all until having to homeschool 3 children and run a business at the same time. So I learned a lot from doing that.
I think homeschooling has been the biggest stress creator of all time.
And making sure, I suppose, that for me, the one thing was just taking a step back and saying, this is, how important is all of this right now? And what's the most important thing that I should be focusing on at this time for myself and for my business, and then for my kids as well. So that was something I needed to really take a step back and look at.
It's a hard question. I think so many people struggle with knowing what the most important use of their time is at any point in time. And so it's a good question to be asking. So let me ask you the best piece of business advice you've ever received.
This actually dates back to my very, very first job, was always give the customer more than they expect. It's something that I've pretty much always done throughout my working life, be it for our own business or for someone else's. I think if you are also approachable and listen, I think that all sort of comes in with that as well, is that's giving them more than they expect, because often businesses don't do that. So interesting.
So just making sure that you exceed expectations with the customer.
Yeah, I think so. And just added, like, even if you're a small business and you haven't got a big budget, just,
Mm.
popping a nice little note in with the package that you're sending out. Sort of little stuff like that
Yeah.
actually does go a long way. So,
Yeah, fantastic. And what about books? Is there a book that you've read that sort of stuck with you or resonated?
um, I'm an avid reader, so I'm always reading business books.
I
You
won't
probably
ask you your favourite because it's a tough call when you read a lot. But what's one that sort of sticks in your mind that's sort of poignant at the moment?
The one that really has always stuck with me is This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. I
Mm.
think he's the guru for me when it comes to marketing. He's always had the similar philosophy to marketing as what I had, is that I've never thought of marketing as pitching sales. I'm actually as communication and conversation. So I align very much with what he says in most of his books that he's released, and he's got a blog. I think he's got an ongoing blog that he's always updating. So
Yes.
yeah.
Pretty much every day, I think he posts something, doesn't he?
Yes.
He's
Yes.
prolific, but
Yeah.
he's
Amazing.
written so many books, and they're all very interesting because he's quite good at sort of communicating his point across, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think the one thing with him that he has always done is definitely evolved his message to what's happening in the world as well. And I think that's something else that businesses can learn from, is making sure that they're evolving their branding message, as well as, keeping the look and feel of it, but the actual message of it needs to evolve as well.
I mean, this sort of environment has really forced that, hasn't it? The last 6 months has been sort of more change in 6 months than there has in the past 6 years, I think.
Yeah, especially because for one of the consultant businesses that I do, do things for networking. There's no conferences, and that's where so getting yourself onto LinkedIn or and things like that's definitely changed within the world.
Yeah, fantastic. So let me ask you one last question. The number one piece of advice you'd give to someone in business right now?
For me, going back to my marketing, is just to make sure that you've got your foundations right with your marketing, and that your brand and so forth is definitely solid, and that you're really considering the evolution of your brand as well, is a big thing, and where you want to take it.
Yeah. I think it's funny because you say that, and for most people we talk to in business, marketing's an option.
Yes.
They usually sort of say, look, don't need to market. I get most of my work from word of mouth. And that indicates to me that they don't have much capacity, because that just means I'm scared of marketing, because if it works, I'll have too many clients and I can't work any harder and all those sorts of things. But to me, marketing is not just about getting extra work. It's about the quality of work as well, which is like profitable work.
Well, I also think, I know with word of mouth, it's a great tool and I do believe in it, but I think if you want to get paid your worth, which is what everyone wants to do, you need to actually market your worth. And I think if you're not doing that, you're not going to get paid what you probably deserve to be paid from your clients either. So that's why I do think it's a really important thing to market yourself well, so that people think that you have this position of a knowledge leader or a thought leader in your field, in that they've already got you sort of set above the rest before you walk in the door, which I think is really important.
Yeah, fantastic. Because you just clarified what I talk about all the time, which is how much, if people are looking at your price and comparing you to the market, the assumption underlying that is that you're the same.
Yes.
There's no difference. So if they say, what's your hourly rate, and I can get it for 10% cheaper down the street, the underlying assumption is the service provision is exactly the same.
Yeah. So, and that's what you need to do. You need to be on LinkedIn, and everyone's like, oh, I can't be bothered. You actually need to be on there talking about what you do, and it's very hard, and I get that, but that's actually really important, because that's not just selling yourself, that's marketing your business and marketing the knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
And that in turn gets you better clients, but also better return on your investment, and it's free too. So coming up with a strategy for something as simple as what you say on LinkedIn is a really important thing within your business.
Fantastic. Look, I'm conscious of time. Thanks very much, Siobhan, for your time today. It's been really interesting.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, actually.
Well, it's sort of because we talk to so many different people in business, and it's always nice to hear different points of view. It's like reading several books. People say, haven't you read enough books on business? And I say, well, I have read thousands of them. And they go, don't they all tell you the same thing? And you say, well, they sort of do, but they don't, right? Because everyone has a distinction or a view. And I think the more you read, the more depth of knowledge you get.
But also, like, you can pick and choose the bits that are going to work for you. Like, that part works for me. I resonate with this.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much for me. I'm not that kind of salesperson. I don't pitch like that. So that's why I read so much, because I think, you know, I pull all the good bits out that will work for me.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, thanks again, Siobhan. It's been great chatting.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Pleasure. Cheers.